Grief is a part of life. Grief is something that we all have dealt with. And in many cases, grief holds us hostage to not moving forward. In this video today, I'm going to become very transparent about grief, how I've dealt with it, and how I'm going to encourage you to deal with it as well. Welcome to the Kantis Simmons Show. Hey, what's going on? I'm Kantis Simmons, and welcome to the Kantis Simmons Show. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome again. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you share, because today I'm going to talk about something that impacts us all, and I want to talk about a remedy to help us get past grief. Now, this is probably not maybe one of my traditional shows, but I wanted to talk about it because I realized that it has been affecting people that I'm close with. And as I look at grief or loss, I want to talk about how it's impacted my life. And hopefully out of this video today, you can get something from it and get delivered and get free from something that we all go through called grief. But while you're here, I just want to say thank you for you being here, but I want to give you access to my brand new book, STEM is Everywhere. Activities to help students learn it, love it, and live it. Yes, so I have this brand new book, STEM is Everywhere, and I'm super excited about it because I created it as a resource to help teachers and parents better encourage their students to learn STEM, to love STEM, and to live STEM. And to get a copy of this book, I call it an activity guide. Simply go to STEMiseverywhere.com. Yes, go to STEMiseverywhere.com. And of course, you know I'm a STEM baby. Of course, you know I'm the school education guy, and I want to make sure you have access to that. So let's talk about grief real quick. And let me give you some backstory of how this came about. So this past week at my church, I went to something called Men's Fellowship. And Men's Fellowship is a gathering of men that my pastor and the leaders have put together so men can come together to learn, to support each other, to get free, to get delivered. And this Saturday, it was like group therapy. Right? It was group therapy. And my pastor said something that I've never heard, but it hit me powerfully. He was talking about grief. And he made this statement: grief is love that has nowhere to go. Grief is love that has nowhere to go. And when he said it, it struck me. It was like, wow. Grief is love that has nowhere to go. And as I started thinking about it, I have some close family members. I got one of my best cousin friends. I know some years ago, he lost his mom to death. And we would have conversations of how he was like, hey, man, I know you got your mom and your dad, but he's like, bruh, this is a feeling I can't explain. And it's like, there are moments when, we have high times and high accomplishments, and he'll talk about, and you can see on his face and his attitude like, man, I wish my mom would see me. And then I have colleagues and other friends who've lost parents and close loved ones. And when this phrase came up, grief is love that has nowhere to go, it reminds me of a dear friend of mine. And she lost her mom some years ago. She was talking about the pain of not being able to move forward, or wanting to call her mom, or wanting to reach out to her mom, or could smell her mom. And there was a place where she was just stagnant because of grief and the love that has nowhere to go. Now, I want to talk about three areas that we all deal with grief. And the one resolution that I would offer to get past this area of grief. So let's associate grief with loss. All right. Grief with loss. Now, last year, I was traveling to Saudi Arabia speaking, and me and my dad was traveling to go do a STEM event. And as I was traveling, I landed in my hotel room and I got a phone call, right? I got a phone call from my brother, Brian. And my brother called and he said, "Hey, have you heard?" I'm like, "What, heard?" I'm like, "Me and Dad, we just got here to the hotel. Have you heard?" I was like, "No, heard what?" And he said, "Sean died." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, Sean died." And for a second there, I just froze. I'm like, "What? Huh?" You see, Sean was my best friend. Sean was a guy that I met probably in the year 2000, 1999, 2000. And a great father, great husband, great leader. I was so blessed to be the godson of his kids. They call me Uncle Kantis. All right. And I think about the loss that I experienced with my friend Sean. But not only that, I think about his wife. I think about his kids. I think about his close friends, his colleagues, and I was so blessed to be able to do his funeral. And, people handle grief in many different ways. And, for me, I shared tears. But I realized that I processed, right? And I understand life after death. And I think I understand life after death, right? From what I know. But I think about his kids, my God kids. I think about his family members. And I've realized that not only with this family, but every family, it can be emotionally painful. But once I got a revelation of this on this past Saturday, grief is love that has nowhere to go. I can understand when I want to call my friend or want to hang out with my friend and I have nowhere to go because he's not there. Or a son or a daughter want to run to their father and sit in his hands, or run to their father and ask for money, or to hang out with your mom or your dad or a loved one, and that love has nowhere to go. Loss. And I believe there are three areas that we all have to address where loss is concerned that's associated with grief. And so when I speak of grief, I'm speaking of loss. Okay? So there are three areas I want you to consider, and I want to give you this one solution, this one remedy that we all can use to get past grief and loss. Okay? The first area where we all experience grief or loss is in a person, right? Is in a person. Family members, mates, children. Maybe there was a mentor. Maybe there was a coach. Maybe there was Big Mama, Big Daddy. Maybe there was your boyfriend. Maybe there was your mom, your dad, your uncle, even a sibling, or even a child. Grief, loss in a person. Now I want you to think about, when you experience the emotions that you experience, it's natural, it's human, it's part of life. It's love that has nowhere to go. I want you to take the time to apply this one remedy. It's simple, but this one remedy, I believe, that we could all use to get through this area of love, to help us on this area of love, right? Love of a lost one. And that remedy is gratitude, that remedy is gratefulness. I'm grateful to be able to experience my friend Sean. I'm grateful to be in the life of my God kids. I'm grateful that my God kids are doing their thing in their career, in school, and life. I'm grateful to have that relationship. I'm grateful to have the experiences and the joys. In the life of your family, maybe it's a mother, grateful. My mom and dad been married for almost 54 years coming up. They're 77, something like that. And they're doing good. But guess what? I know one day, hey, right? But here's what. I'm so grateful now that I have my parents. I'm so grateful that I can celebrate them. And regardless of who it is in your life where this person is concerned, I want you to take the time to institute gratefulness and gratitude for the memories, gratitude for the experiences, gratitude for the moments, gratitude for the tears, gratitude for the laughs, gratitude for the family dinners, gratitude for the fusses, gratitude for all of that, right? So that's in one area of loss, the loss of a person that may have died or transitioned. And then we also got to look at a person in the loss of a relationship, right? So I was married some years ago to a beautiful young lady. We went through a divorce. Now, guess what? I could walk around in bitterness about the separation and the divorce, but I applied this years ago and I didn't realize that I was turning on this principle. It's like, man, I'm grateful that I had a beautiful marriage with an amazing person, with an amazing friend. God, I'm thankful I was able to be a husband. I'm thankful that I had a mate. I'm thankful that out of the relationship, I'm thankful for the memories. I'm thankful for the friendship that we developed. Maybe it's a boyfriend, maybe it's a girlfriend, maybe it's a close friend, and you guys broke up some kind of way. But guess what? Grief is loss. Grief is love that has nowhere to go. And maybe you may not go back to that relationship, but I want you to think about how tormenting that thing has been in your development. Take the time and be grateful for the experiences, grateful for the memories, grateful for the conversation, grateful for the relationship. So that's the first area. Grief where a person or people are involved. The second thing I think that we all should institute this area of gratefulness in the area of grief is in the area of possessions. Now, has it been a time where you lost something? Maybe, the other day I was talking to an older gentleman, he's a deacon at my church, and he was talking about how he didn't realize he was experiencing grief because he lost a corporate job, and now he's fearful that his retirement is not going to help him and his wife get to the end of time. And he realized that the loss of his job and sort of forced him to go into retirement has been causing him to grieve and to now ball up and to be fearful about the future. What possessions have you lost that's caused you to you're frozen right now because of a loss of a possession? Maybe it was a house. Maybe it was a job. Maybe it was a business. What's the area of grief? Maybe it was a contract. Maybe, you had a record deal that folded. Or maybe you wrote a song and you produced a song and you tried to do business and the contract and the monies didn't go right. Or maybe you had some land, or you had a savings account, or you had an investment account, or maybe you had a scholarship and you lost it. How has grief, how has the loss of this possession stopped you from moving forward? I want to offer you the opportunity to turn on gratefulness. Grateful that you had that job. Grateful that you had that house. Grateful that you had that car. Grateful that you had the opportunity to be in that class. Grateful that you had the opportunity to get enrolled in that workshop. Grateful that you had that mentor. Grateful that you had the business. Grateful that you were able to turn on your gifts and produce the song. At the end of the day, I want you to pause and turn your grief into gratefulness. Grief over a person, grief over a possession, and lastly, grief over your potential. Now, let's think about potential, right? Potential is what you envision you can be when you do all that you know you can do. And sometimes when we experience grief in life, emotionally, it can hinder our potential. It can hinder our confidence. It can hinder how we move and operate in the earth. Let's say something didn't go for you the way that you wanted. Maybe you applied for something and they said, no, you're not qualified. Or you applied for something and they said, no, you're overqualified. Or maybe you tried to get into college, or maybe you tried to get into grad school and they said no. In some kind of way, that word of no impacted your potential to move forward. You know, I tell people all the time, no, N-O simply means it's a new opportunity, right? And so your potential may have been damaged because the person didn't want to love you right or get in a relationship with you, or the person didn't want to accept your contract, or maybe you tried to apply for the promotion on your job. Maybe as a teacher, you tried to go into administration and they said no. But now, because you've heard no more than one time, 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, that now you feel like, well, maybe I'm not worthy to go accomplish that. I want to say to you this: a person, possessions, and potential can no longer stop you. So I offer you this: take the time every single day to rejoice over the things that you lost. Yeah, I know it's painful. Yeah, I understand it's uncomfortable. Yeah, I know those are memories floating through your head and they can be tormenting. And it's part of the human experience. But I want you to institute something called gratefulness. Man, being thankful. Man, thankful that I got a roof over my head. Thankful that I'm able to lay down in a bed. Thankful that I'm able to be in this school program. Thankful that my grades are, I got a B, and I didn't hit the honor roll this year, but I can do better. Grateful that you had the relationship. Grateful that you have this person in your life. Grateful that you had that person in your life. Grateful that you have the memories and the lessons and everything that comes with it. Listen, from what I know, we only get to experience this human experience one time. And like they say, life be lifing, right? But in this area of grief and loss, it's something that we all have to experience. And yeah, a lot of times we just associate grief with a person. But I want you to really think about, what possessions have you lost that have been holding you hostage from not moving forward? What potential have you lost because somebody said no to you and it didn't go well as you expected? Grief is love that has nowhere to go. When you lose things that you love, sometimes it has nowhere to go. And this is why I offer you the opportunity to turn on gratefulness. Listen, I'm Kantis Simmons. Thank you so much for watching the Kantis Simmons Show. If there's any way that I can help or support you with the resources and the books and information that I have, hey, click one of the links down below. And I want us all to get better as we go through life, as we all recover from grief. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.